Hello, this is the Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 meeting of the Davenport Public Library Board of Trustees. We have a quorum. I guess we'll go through and do a roll call. Michael?
Here.
Honey?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
Malvika?
Here.
And myself. So we have a quorum, okay? The attendees, we also have in attendance, we've got Jeff Collins, the library director, Lexi Reiling, Jennifer Williams, and I'm sorry, Tracy. And then we also have Hillary Tanner, Friends of the President, on electronically. So with that, the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Michael. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Honey, second. So we have a motion and a second. Michael?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Malvika?
Yes.
And myself, that's yes. Okay. All right, so that passes. We have public with comment. Seeing none. Move on to reports of communication. Friends? Hillary, did you want to enlighten us?
Yes, can you hear me okay? No, no one can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great, okay, thank you. We do have another new board member on the Friends, so we're excited to be growing the board so we can be more supportive of the library. We also updated our bylaws to reflect the committees that we truly have the capacity to function. And a big focus for us right now is looking at our membership, seeing how we can grow our membership and bring in more donations. Tracy has been instrumental in helping us put together a survey for our members so we can understand why they give, what makes their gift valuable. And lastly, we have just started planning a fundraising event for 2025. So those are the big things that we're excited about right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next committee report is finance. I guess since the chair or the committees haven't actually been approved yet, so we will, I'll present as the former chair of the finance committee. You see in the information you got in your packet, the budget comparisons. The one that shows the current year shows we're 8% through the year, and the appropriation was right around 8%. So the expenses seem to be matching the time that we moved through the year. So is there anything from personnel? I don't know if there's anybody from the personnel committee here. Samantha's not here.
Well, be honest.
Okay,
We haven't met.
okay, all right. Okay. And advocacy, Malvika?
The St. Ambrose Library will be soon sharing with our students that they can be our public library members. September is also library card month. So we will be rolling out a few things, information and things like that to our students. Second, me and my family, we were visiting Iceland. And during then, as we go to the museums, we also visit the public library. And I had requested Jeff if I could take the tiny little things to kind of give away as little gifts. And I had this lovely little bag with pens and stuff like that. And I got this opportunity to meet one of the 8 libraries in Reykjavik, Iceland. And I was shown around, me and my family were shown around the library. We talked about how the setup of our public library is in the United States. They loved, and Jeff, thank you. They, by the way, loved the pens and the little bag and whatnot. And they checked out our website. And I said, don't just check out, start following us, etc., etc. And they all, especially the director of the library, is also the deputy librarian of the city of Reykjavik. And she said, I am so, so proud of you guys, how you are going through the book banning and, you know, all that kind of stuff that is happening in our country. And I'm following, American libraries actively. I shared greetings from all of us to the library and the library staff and the library director. And she particularly sent and wished us back as well, saying that I hope someday you all would visit us, and I think it would be fun for us to go there. The libraries in Reykjavik, just a quick mention, the city library in Reykjavik is operated by the city, and it is under the cultural and the sports division of the city. But it was wonderful, so I just kind of wanted to share that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Malvika. The next item on the agenda is Director's Report. Jeff?
Thanks, Tom. A couple of things to highlight included in your packet with the report. Obviously, the Fairmount Community Center ribbon cutting is going to be on Thursday, the 29th at 2:30. So you are welcome to attend that if you would like. We're excited to see that building become operational, and we've been in contact with Parks and Recreation on how to collaborate with parks, being new neighbors for that area. Strategic planning, we did present a proposal to the Friends at their meeting last week, and they did approve to fund the cost to hire a consultant for us, up to $15,000 for that process. So we are going to begin working on those RFQs to get a consultant to help us moving forward. And you can anticipate more information on the strategic planning process occurring in the next probably 3 months or so as we kick that off. As a reminder, we need to get that ready to go by July 1st of next year. So we'll probably hit it in earnest in probably November, December, January. We'll really start doing a lot more. Our next meeting for the board is going to be held at Easter. So just as a reminder for that. Before I forget, I wanted to mention that. We have the threadless store that's been announced and operational. So we've got some really great designs that were crafted by our new marketing coordinator, Tessa Wallace. And we have that process so you can purchase all sorts of library branded materials. We're doing it primarily as an advertising and a marketing tool, but there is a little bit of money that can come in as well that is going to the Friends as a fundraiser. We had a really great back-to-school backpack giveaway program, a back-to-school resource fair, and then our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten Graduation. We're really excited about all of those events. Next month is September, which is Library Card Sign-Up Month. We got a lot of really fun programs coming for that. And Davenport Public Library is the first library in the Quad Cities to be named an LGBTQIA+ friendly business by Quad Cities affirming diversity. They have a Safe Connect program, so we're excited to be acknowledged for that service that we provide for all of our communities. We had 167 GLOW visits already. Those are the grade level outreach experience programs to first graders, encouraging them to come back to the libraries. And that's a lot, which is really wonderful to kind of develop that habit to get people to come into the library and begin to use the library. For the library stories, the duration of the tornado in mid-July impacted the community in a lot of ways, and libraries, all 3 of our buildings, the day after were extremely busy for people that were experiencing power outages, and we're able to assist them in a number of areas, which is really good. And summer reading is wrapping up, which has been a really great program. We're excited for that. And those are just a few of the highlights in the report. I'm happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns.
Jeff? Jeff, I just wanted to say that tidy time that you have mentioned is so superb, the program. tidy time in the library. This is something I thought I need to do it in my office right now. So this is wonderful. This is wonderful. Is it okay if I share it with my colleagues?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. This is a wonderful program. Thanks.
Okay, all right. So then the next item on the agenda is council liaison. I don't see Miriam anywhere. So I guess we'll pass that. Old business. First item under old business is committee assignments. I had, in your packet, there was a memo from me basically laying out the committees, my proposed appointments to the committees. I haven't heard from anyone whether they would like to change to a different committee. And is there anybody that would like to change? So with that, the appointments, I would like to make the appointments. Finance, do we need to do this all through a motion?
Yeah, but did Laura say last month that she couldn't do finance as it was a conflict, maybe it was her
I
job?
do remember that.
Now that I
yes.
think
Who was it?
Laura
Laura,
might have said she couldn't do finance.
There's a
she couldn't do
issue
it,
with our
okay.
lawyer.
So maybe she'll stick with personnel if somebody's willing to move personnel over to finance.
Or would you like to switch with her?
I actually like my assignment.
Okay, all right. Well, I could switch with Laura then.
I'd be happy to do both if that's appropriate.
No, I'll switch with Laura. Okay, so Laura will be on advocacy. And I will be on finance. Joe is the chair. Okay, so with those changes to the proposed committee assignments, do we have a motion to adopt the appointments for committee assignments?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second. Oh, sorry, Joe. Yes, Joe.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second to approve the committee assignments. Honey?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Malvika?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Okay, so that passes. Okay. And then hopefully my memo kind of spelled out some of the duties of the various meetings, various committees. I mean, typically our committees do not have regular meetings. They're basically as needed. So hopefully that's explanatory. Okay, all right. And then the next item on the agenda is the review of administrative policy. For those of you who are new, as part of our certification process, we have to periodically review all of our policies. And so this is just part of a process. Every month we will be reviewing a different set of policies. So, Jeff?
Thanks, Tom. So included in your packet are administrative policies from section 2, which includes 2.1 through 2.12. Again, this is broken out by section to try to make it a little bit more palatable for us at each meeting. 2.1, the title was changed to more accurately reflect the actual policy, and then the overall tone was changed to hopefully be a little bit less negative toward in some of the way it was written. for example, section or item 2 was replaced with the library's value statements instead. So it looks like there's a lot of strike throughs on that one, and that's primarily what those changes were for 2.1.
That's a very nice value statement. Was that developed recently?
Yeah, we did that in the last year.
I'm very impressed with that.
And then typically when we do these, we will discuss them at one meeting and then approve them at the subsequent meeting.
And for these ones, what we're planning on doing is discuss all of them, starting in last month, so July, August, September, October, and then in November, bring them all to you at once to vote on. And because the thought process on that too is that in theory, we might identify something in one when we're reviewing 2 that might impact 1 from a previous one, but we wouldn't want to approve that yet without going through the entire process.
Is there any discussion of section 2.1? Okay, move on.
2.2, this entire policy was rephrased, and so that's why you'll see provisions 1 through 4 struck through and 1 through 7 added. Most of the content is still essentially the same, but there are some additions in there. This one had the most substantive changes.
And I presume this would also be in conjunction with the union contract and also with city HR.
Correct, yeah, we shouldn't ever have anything that's in conflict with
Okay.
those. Generally, our policy will not be in conflict with any of those.
Is there any discussion of that item? Policy 2.2?
So Jeff, to understand what you're saying, in creating this, you or someone on your staff had spoken with HR, had spoken with the city, and that's why we know these are not gonna be a conflict.
Yeah, well, the city has their own administrative policies,
Yeah.
and then the library has administrative policies. So if the library board hasn't addressed something through an administrative policy, then we'll follow the city's policy. So in most cases, there won't be duplicative policies, but if there are, they're not in conflict with one another.
Other than it looks to me like 1 and 2 say basically the same thing.
Let's do attendance.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, 2.3,
2.3 addresses workplace relationships and a couple of minor changes. in this.
any questions or comments? Okay,
2.4 addresses library property.
is there any questions or comments?
Just for clarification, then number 2, employees shall adhere to the same guidelines as the public. Are those written somewhere? Those public guidelines established?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, policy 2.5.
This is primarily a conflict of financial interest. Again, just a couple of minor changes.
Speaking of conflict of interest, should there be a recognition by the board that we have to that we as a board have to live by this policy too? I mean, should we as board members be signing a statement saying we have no conflicts of interest?
You currently do through the city, through the FID process. Honey, you just went through this recently.
Is that a board policy?
That was a city policy.
It's a city
Yeah.
also.
Okay,
Once a year, they send it over. That was the-
But I did get in contact with the city recently, and it sounds like Bob still needs to complete his, and also Jerry. So they both need to complete theirs when they get a chance.
I'm wondering if we as a board should adopt a policy where we say annually or periodically sign a statement saying we have no conflicts of interest, you know? Because I'm just wondering if that is something we should proactively do as a board.
I think it's covered already, but I could be mistaken on that, because it's also in your code of ethics that you sign as a
Okay.
trustee.
Oh, there we are, yeah. I guess I hadn't thought about that.
I believe we're covered.
Yeah, it is, it's in there as I recall, but that's not something we do annually.
The code of ethics,
Yeah.
correct.
I envision that as being a one-shot thing. So,
And maybe that's something we should be doing on a more, I don't want to say annually, maybe semi-annual basis. You know, I'm just raising the question. Okay, any other questions on policy 2.5?
I will say on number 5, rather than discarded, it should just be discard.
I think discarded works.
Employees are permitted to purchase discarded materials.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood the meaning of the sentence.
On that same note, provision number 3, employees use their positions in offices. I went through this, and I just made some notes, although I couldn't skip the whole thing at the end. But, I mean, and these are just for you to look at and decide, okay, yeah, we'll buy it or we don't.
Yeah, with those that you had sent previously, we incorporated them into 1 and
Yeah,
3.
okay.
And then we'll do the same for this.
All right.
Okay. Is there any other questions on 2.5? Okay, policy 2.6, public and media relations. Is there any comments or questions?
Point 2, just a thought, point 2 in 2.6. Should it be in support? I'm not wearing my glasses here today. Oh, it's done. It's the supports, the S is struck off. Sorry. I was going to say, should it be in support of, but I believe the S, it has been struck off. Sorry.
No questions about the policy. Wondering, does staff receive training on this particular policy so that they know what their expectations are when media contacts them?
We've provided some informal guidance. We don't have anything necessarily in writing as far as expectations. Right.
We don't often get
No.
approached by the media.
How frequently is there a staff-wide gathering where staff in service discussing library? Is that like an annual thing?
Yeah, so we'll have an annual in-service, generally the 4th Thursday in April. And then we also have we have an all-staff meeting every month, and then we'll have bi-monthly staff training as as well.
Okay, so at those times, you can be addressing things where you think it's appropriate. Yeah. And are those recorded?
The
Which,
bi-monthly ones are, I usually will do 3 in-person trainings and then a virtual session that I record so staff can watch it on demand later if they couldn't attend.
So there is a paper trail for this too. Yeah.
Any other questions? Moving on to policy 2.7, personal parents. Any questions or comments?
this one, really the big change was removing the word modest from shorts, because it's very subjective.
With jeans in,
Jeans are in. Yep. Jeans are a go.
Any other questions? Policy 2.8,
So 2.8 was rewritten a bit primarily to address more current technology. It was written initially at a time that addressed primarily the use of the internet and email. And now, as you can imagine, there's just a little bit more involved than just internet and email. So this policy has been rewritten to reflect those other more current technologies.
well, and it also appears to be a little written, so it's written to cover more stuff. I mean, other software tools kind of implies, a broader array of things.
The other thing that it addresses as well is that, when computers first came out, it's necessary they were cost prohibitive for a lot of people, so most employees didn't have their own computer, and they might use the one at work, and policy allowed them to do that. And it's evolved to a point now where our employees don't need to use computers for non-work related purposes because they have their own devices and they'll use that. So this clarifies that is the expectation, is library equipment should be used for library purposes, not for personal purposes.
Any
Questions on 3 specific points? Number 10, personal devices should be used when on meal and rest periods when using as a listening device or for emergency purposes. It is acceptable to carry a mobile device, but it should not be used as opposed to. Okay. Then number 20, just a question. It says employees shall refrain from adding personal favorite quotes or sayings from authors, quotes, etc. This is like in correspondence, or I'm not sure where this would be.
That would be in the case of an email signature where a staff member might include quotes from their favorite author or inspirational quotes, stuff like that. And it had been the policy for a number of years to not allow that, to disallow that.
And we're saying still.
Still, yeah, that hasn't changed. It just.
But Malavika, that's a shot at you, right?
Sorry.
Not there. All right. Hey, if you know it's Malavika, I'll answer that. Anyway. And I use it all the time, but I understand it, that's fine, it's professionalism. Then the number 21, email accounts will be deactivated upon employment separation and accounts will no longer be
Accessible.
okay.
We'll change that.
All right.
Okay, anything else on that section? Two point nine. Any comment on that one?
I have several, but I'll just pass it to you, they're just plural maintenance, but again, look at it and decide if you want to take the suggestions or not. It's a 7 now.
Any other comments? 210, workplace safety. Any comments or suggestions? Moving on, 2.11, headphones and earbuds. Any comments or suggestions?
To starts with employees, it should continue with employees. Employees have an awareness of. Well, that's
If you pass that on to Joe. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Any other comments? And 2.12, beverages. Any comments? Questions? Okay, that moves on. And that's it then for that. Okay. So that will all come back in November, okay, for approval, for vote and approval. Okay, thank you, everyone. Any other old business? New business? We have a motion awarding a contract for artificial equipment and services in Fairmont Branch to Conference Technologies Inc. of Davenport in the amount of $60,594.99. Jeff?
So there's a memo in your packet that addresses this, and this is primarily to upgrade the AV equipment at Fairmount in our meeting rooms and in the storage room as well. So we solicited some proposals, and we have gone through that process with the city. And now we have a contract that we propose approving with CTI. It's an amount just under 61,000, and funding is provided for it in the CIP program.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
To approve it, okay. Honey moves to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay,
Malavika.
no seconds. Okay. Any discussion? I know, when I met with Jeff about this, the reason it's so significant is because of the expansion of the number of various kinds of technology available out there. You have to be able to meet people with what they have. And so it's unfortunate that we have to spend so much money to upgrade this stuff. Because neither one of the branches are that old. So anyway, if there's no discussion, we'll have a vote. Malvika,
Yes.
Michael,
yes.
Honey,
Yes?
Joe,
Yes.
and myself is yes. So that passes. And President's comments, I really don't have any real comments, except I would like to again express my thanks to our former president who is in attendance today for his leadership over the years. Taught me a lot. So,
I'm 452 years.
and so I guess we're on to board training.
Good, that's me. So the development department is staffed with one part-time development officer, which is me. We're a department of one. Quick overview, so the development department oversees fundraising activities for the library and works closely with the Friends to help the library carry out its mission. So the Friends are a 501c3, and most of the funding that comes through is funneled through that organization. There are some occasions where some funds come through the library, but it's rare, very rare. So we've discussed, I know in here, a lot of the projects that the Friends have funded, summer reading, author visits, borrow by mail, strategic planning, and youth snack pantry at Fairmount, and that list could go on and on. But I'll leave it that we don't want to go over our time. And the list of activities I have there, just want to take a quick look at those. Those are some of the things that my department does, that I do. And I will get into a few of those more in depth here in a minute, but just to point out that I start capital campaigns because those don't happen very often, thankfully. Those are much more complex and in-depth campaigns. And then planned giving, I also noted, we don't have a formal program, planned giving program at this time, but we do occasionally get bequests or retirement funds or life insurance policies, and we will field, at least I think, pretty simple questions related to planned giving. Basically, who do I designate? What's a tax ID number? And then we typically refer people to speak with their attorney as far as language and stuff goes. So moving on to grants, and I think I made this little chart like Jeff started to sort of explain what I do and when it happens. I thought that might be helpful. But as far as grants go, starts with even just the research, finding a good fit for the program or the project, what will meet our funding needs. Most of the time we are looking for financial help, but sometimes grants will give equipment, materials, things like that. So I just want to make sure that the funder is kind of meeting our needs as far as what we need for program and stuff. Writing and rewriting, and I focus on the rewriting because there's a lot of that happens. Also making sure that I know what the submission guidelines are, and any sort of requirements as far as attachments. There's financials, there's board rosters, there's history. They're all a little bit different. And even, I will say, even the board roster requirements are different. So some people want, they just want to know the city and state where you reside. Some people don't want that. They want to know where you're affiliated with. So it's hard to just always have a template. There's always a little bit of changes everywhere. And then the management of the grant, if we do get funded, just making sure everybody is on the same page as far as terms and conditions, when can the money be spent, how can it be spent, making sure you're not going past any of those deadlines or whatnot. Reporting obligations, again, everybody has a different one. Some want midterm reports, final reports, making sure that I reach out to staff who might be able to give me information as far as outcomes, on things I need to report back to the grant funder. And overall, just ensuring that we stay in compliance throughout the duration of the grant. And I always feel like that part of it, the management, is so much bigger than the writing of it. I feel the writing happens pretty easily, and then it's just make sure those deadlines are, you're not missing any of those. And obviously we want to stay in have a good relationship with the funders, not just because we're hoping to get funding a little bit further down the road, but it's just always good to have that relationship that they know that they can trust you, you're doing what's asked, that you're paying attention to the details. So moving on to, okay, membership program. So the Friends are a membership program. They do have paying dues members. Right now, and I think Hillary mentioned that we are currently evaluating the program, looking at the membership tiers, the giving levels, and the benefits that are associated with those. If you are a current friend, you should be getting a survey in this week, hopefully this week.
Hopefully all of us are friends.
Hopefully everybody's friends. And we want to get feedback on what made you become a friend? How did you hear about the Friends? What value do you see in your membership? Is there something that could increase that value? What things might you be more interested in learning about? Advocacy, volunteering. And we're trying to get just a better sense of what everybody wants and meeting them there. And we've changed our benefits over the years. And are those things helping? Is anybody using the bookstore gift certificate? Is that, are we wasting our time with that? Should it be something else? So we're looking to figure that out. We're working on a new brochure, so that will be, as those changes come along, will be in the new brochure. At least my time here has been really focused on renewing memberships. But we do have I always say poor Tessa, because I put everything, we have a new marketing person, but we're looking to see, are there ways that we can market so we can bring in some new members and maybe even reach out to those who were members and kind of lapsed. So I don't think our membership numbers are as robust as they once were a number of years ago. So really it's, why is that happening? And I know that there are some people that move and just, don't do that anymore, but is there something that we're kind of missing that we can meet? So we would like to bring those numbers back up. The annual giving campaign, as the name implies, it's campaigns we do every year. Each of these kind of have a different audience and we reach them differently. And so Birdies for Charity, it's typically always been a mailing campaign with some email reminders thrown in. I find that the people who give to Birdies love giving to Birdies and they love that 5 to 10% match that they get. So I see this, a lot of the same names over the last almost 10 years. Occasionally we'll get some new donors that way, but that's not where we get most of our new donors from. That would be the next one, which would be a Giving Day or Giving Tuesday, because it is social media driven. We're finding people that, there's the patrons that engage on Facebook and respond and ask questions and answer the questions that that they're asking, and fun things, and they're involved that way. So tend to see, I think this last one, Giving Day we had in April, I would say the majority of the people had never given before. So it's a great way to reach people that way.
Tracy, do you have a way to capture those people and continue communicating with them?
It can be hard. I prefer if we link to like a donation page, like we would do for membership, or because we can capture people's information. Facebook, if someone happens to get their Facebook, I don't know any of that. I'll know how much someone gave, and I won't have a way to reach out, add them to our database or anything like that. But the way we've been doing it with the link to the donation page, we are capturing it. It might not be an address, it might just be an email, but that's fine because we could reach out to people both ways.
Thanks.
And we have seen, for the next one, the annual appeal, we have over the years captured some people from Giving Tuesday who then have become regular annual donors, which has been really nice. I'm so happy to see that and now those are the people that I don't even send something to, they automatically send me sometimes in October, and that is their annual gift. So it is nice to see that. And the annual is kind of a combo. We do mailing, we'll do emailing, there's some social media. We'd like to beef that part of it up a little bit. And that is probably the campaign I see the most continued potential for growth. And I know you said it on some of our meetings, and I'll have the charts of how we've gone up over the years. So we're consistently over 10,000 each year, and I feel like there's no reason it can't be 20 or 25,000. And we've consistently gone up, so that's always good to see, but I think there's still a lot of room for growth there. All of the funding that comes in, whether it's a grant or a memorial donation, is tracked through the donor database that we use, that the Friends pay for, called Bloomerang. And it tracks donations, but it also, over time, will track donor trends as a whole, but also if people have given enough over time, will kind of come up with donor profiles. So we can see where people are giving, more likely to give. It does provide, it can show engagement with the Friends from attending an event or calling somebody to ask a question or things like that, and also giving capacity. So I always say it's a little awkward to have that information, but it is helpful to be able to target people with, are they possibly a major gift, down the road. So it is more than just, it doesn't just house like the historical data. You can really use it to find out when to reach out to people and what they would most likely give to. I could go into all the things it can do, but that would be an entire session. But it's a fantastic system that we have. I'm jumping into donor stewardship, and I have here that it's more than a thank you letter, but that obviously is still really, really important to do. So best practices is within 48 hours to get a thank you out. But it doesn't stop there. So it is about building relationships with people and creating this positive donor experience from the very first donation to hopefully a second one. And from how easy was it for someone to give? Did we make it easy? Do they know if they write a check, the check goes to where to send it? If it's online, hopefully they didn't have to click 100 times to get to something, to make it that easy. Yes, are they getting a thank you? But then beyond that, are we reaching out to them to check in on them, to thank them without asking them for more money? We'll do Valentine's, email, we appreciate you, or Thanksgiving, we're thankful. Are we sending them updates on how their money was used? And are we letting them know we used it the way we promised? And all of those things help them build trust in us and then feel confident that, okay, my money is going, where I wanted to. It's being used the way I wanted to. And handwritten notes on occasion and things like that are just, I feel like a nice touch to acknowledge them, because I think everyone wants to feel acknowledged and feel like they made a difference, and that is how we do that. So that's one of my favorite things. So recently had a donor who gave a memorial donation in his mother's name to the 1,000 books, and they do that. So every 6 months they send them an update, a report, and then it just so happened that they sent their money in, and right after that was the graduation for the 1,000 books. It's a perfect opportunity. So I told them, I'm going to be sending you pictures, just be on the lookout. And they loved those. They thought they were just, how could you not? Those faces are so cute. So I love doing that with them and kind of getting a response back, and it makes them feel good. So, administrators that I have on here, I don't need to go into in-depth. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's a lot of meeting-related tasks, checking and investment, reconciliation, all important things, but obviously it's less of the development side of things. Not as exciting, I will say it, it's not as exciting, as bringing in the money. But, and I have to say that even though I am a technically only person in the department, obviously it is not just me that gets this stuff done. So as everyone here can attest to, I've relied on them for their help, staff and board, the Friends board, for reviewing something and editing, and does this sound okay? And I'm not sure what this means, you know, because I'm not the library person, so I have to go to the library people, like, what do you mean by this? What are you looking for? So it's not just me, none of this could happen if it was just me. So I hope that was kind of a quick snapshot of what development does, and it's a little bit of everything, which means that I am never bored. So, if you have any questions.
And one other thing to add on this for Tracy too is that this position was new to her, created, and she was the first person to fill this position, coming up on nearly 10 years
10
now.
years next month, I know.
And she's the one employee that assists the Friends primarily. She's the primary staff liaison and she fulfills that role and is really instrumental in grant writing and management and the donor relations, like she does a really great job in helping all of that and raise funds beyond our limited taxpayer funding that we receive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I think Hillary would agree with me on this. Tracy does a very nice job in this role, and it's a lot for one person. And thank you for what you're doing. The Friends Board is a fantastic group of people that supports her and helps get that work done, and she provides great leadership for them. As a board, what can we do to help?
That was not a question. I don't really prepare for too many questions, but that would, I honestly don't know. I work so close with the Friends, and they're so, as you know, because you did that, and it was, everybody is volunteer, so I always feel weird asking for more than what they should be able to give. So I am just, I guess, keep advocating for the Friends, because I think I know there's a misconception that why is the library asking for money? They are funded by the city, and yes, they get a lot of, money, but that's basically keep the lights on and people, staffed so people can come in. And so the Friends money is on the, those great programs that people like to take their kids to, and it's, just everything else, all the other, I call it bonus stuff, which really shouldn't be bonus stuff, but the programs and, even strategic planning, it might not sound like, but it all impacts the library itself. So I would just say, keep advocating for the Friends, let people know what they do.
We all know people, so if we can open doors for you in some way, or
with you.
Tracy, hi, Malvika. Huge thank you to what you do, really mean it. I just have a quick question to both of you, that's Hillary as well as Tracy. And the question is, Tracy, we still are active on Friends of Danforth Public Library Facebook. Can we use that to tag you guys if we do anything?
Sorry, I will admit my hearing. And I think I reached the rate.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's a easy, I mean, it's not an easy reason. It's, yeah, I guess it's an easy reason. We can't get back into it at all.
Oh,
So
okay.
the admin on that, we can't get back in. They've made me an admin, but I'm admin on library, which terrifies me because I'm afraid I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And I don't do anything on there. And so we're locked out.
Oh, okay. No, I get you. My second question to Tracy, you and Hillary is, I mean, you guys do so much into getting monies in and things like that. Maybe you might have seen it, or maybe you may not have seen it. Have you seen the Quad City Community Foundation's giving catalog, which is free to enroll? No, I shouldn't say enroll, to add us to it, because there are many monetary donations that go because of emotions through their catalog. So I just thought of sharing it with you in case if you're not aware or about adding us to it.
Yes, and I've talked to Paul about that. He gave me some more information. It's not active. I mean, I'm not active. It's not any of the other organizations. It's not maybe well publicized or well known because I don't. Okay, because
You're right. You're right about that, and they're trying to do a few things to push it, because you're right about what you're saying.
Okay, and that's why I've been slow on the uptake with that. It hasn't been. I've gone through and I'm like zeros. I don't see.
Yes, and you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. They are trying to push that, and I just thought of sharing it with you because there's just one organization that has got donation on that giving catalog, which is not right, but it's sad. But I just thought to share it with you. But thank you once again, Tracy. It's tremendous. And I often do talk about you guys when I go to our community watch and neighborhood watch meetings. So, it's kind of good to talk to them about the library, but friends as well, and make that distinction. So thanks once again for what you do. Thank you.
Okay,
So, question.
yes,
Just point of information question.
go right ahead.
Okay. Everything you're doing, terrific. Good job. I agree. Malavika. Just before the meeting, Steve was helping me try to understand how our budget thing works and when the fiscal year is. These quarters don't match that. Is there a reason?
I mean, the Friends fiscal year is from April 1st through March 31st. And I am looking at Casey, I want to say that's when they were founded, incorporated, they don't know.
And is it a nonprofit?
It's
thing?
not uncommon for nonprofits to have a slightly different fiscal year calendar, and that's what the Friends have historically followed since their inception in 1983. They generally will do that April 1st to March 31st cycle.
And they have their annual meeting.
So, and there's no consequence to it. I mean, it doesn't make any difference when the year is.
I'm not sure.
If I may make an
Tax
observation,
purposes.
the schedule that she has laid out there, I mean, like, for example, the annual appeal, that is, I mean, you want to do it in the third quarter, or the fourth quarter, because people are thinking at the end of the year, okay, I make a donation here on my taxes.
Right.
So, I mean, the timing of various things is probably more geared to when people are wanting to give money.
Right.
And so, yes, the Friends apparently has a March 31st year end. City has a June 30th year end. And so,
Yeah, I was just curious as to why they weren't aligned, but it makes no difference whether they're aligned or not, really.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I think occasionally I'm always worried about that, like the funding, if it's something's coming in and if it's past, like if it's an annual, sometimes people will turn in an annual fund donation in the beginning of the year. Sometimes they'll get one in the middle of the year, from the year before. So that can't really be for the previous annual fund. So where do we put that? That doesn't happen very often, but, and all of the foundations that we work with know that that is our fiscal year, so they know to look at it that way.
any other comments or questions? Thank you. I guess the last item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
And a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.